Hello everyone. Let's talk about the placement of components in the viewer in App Inventor 2. If I were to take a button and drag it onto my viewer screen here, you notice that there's a blue line there that tells where the placement of that component is going to go. Even if I put it all the way down here at the bottom and let loose, it's still going to put it back up here at the top. And you can see that in my emulator over here, that even though I drug down here, it's still going to put it at the top. And if I wanted to add another button, it won't let me put it next to it, to the right of it, or it's only above it or below it. That's where the blue line is. So in the default behavior in App Inventor when we're placing objects is just to put them one right on top of the other in one vertical column. Those are the only options. If we want to place objects in a certain position somewhere, then we have to use some layout controls. The layout controls are not in the user interface drawer. They're in the next drawer down here where it says layout, the gray bar there. So if you click on the layout drawer, the interface drawer will close, and then we have our different arrangements that we can make. There's two horizontal, just a horizontal arrangement and a horizontal scroll arrangement. The only difference between those two is this one includes a scroll bar to help if we put stuff that's on the outside of what we see. There's a vertical and a vertical scroll, same thing. The horizontal arrangements will put things in a single row going left to right, and the vertical arrangements are just like the default on the screen where it puts it top to bottom. The fifth one here, table arrangement, it allows us to put things in multiple rows and multiple columns, but it is a little bit convoluted. Sometimes it's better just to put a horizontal arrangement inside of a vertical arrangement or vice versa, and I'll show you how to do that. It's easier to do that than to worry about all of the stuff that goes into the table arrangement. So if I say wanted to put a couple of buttons that went across the screen instead of one on top of the other, all I have to do is drag out a horizontal arrangement here, and you can see that it doesn't really show anything. I have it here on my screen, but in the emulator there's nothing there because the arrangements are just containers. They're just placeholders or places where you could put other objects. So you can kind of think of the arrangements as a little mini screen on top of this big screen. So if I go back to my user interface here and drag a button and put it inside, you notice that the blue line here is now inside that arrangement. I could drag it outside if I wanted to, but if I wanted in that horizontal arrangement, I just need to make sure that my component is on top of that arrangement and let loose, and it will put it inside there. You also notice that it made that horizontal arrangement shrink down to the size of that button. So right now, if you look over here at the emulator, it just looks like the normal default behavior. But the trick comes in when I add my second button. So when I add that second button, if I click and drag and I put it right on top of, you notice you can kind of see on the left-hand side there's a little blue line. That'll put it before the button, but if I move it over just a touch, so I don't see that blue line anymore and let loose, it will put it afterwards. And you notice that they're side by side here instead of vertical. If you have trouble with getting the stuff inside the vertical arrangement, then one trick is just to make the vertical arrangement bigger. And you could do that by clicking over here on the arrangements. Click on the either horizontal or vertical arrangement. And then if we're talking about a horizontal arrangement, we want to change the width. And we can temporarily click on fill parent to make it go the entire width. If I had a vertical arrangement, then I'd want to do the same thing. Click on the vertical arrangement, and this time I would want to change the height to fill parent instead of the width to fill parent. Then you can see that I have enough room in here to work with. And just to show you one more here, I'm going to add a third button. This time it's going to be outside of that horizontal arrangement, and you can see that it will then be right underneath that horizontal arrangement. And you can see in our components window here that since the button 1 and button 2 are indented a little bit, they're inside this horizontal arrangement, but button 3 is on the same level as the horizontal arrangement, so that means that it's not inside there. Okay, some other things that you can do with horizontal and vertical arrangements is that you can change the alignment of just that the stuff that's inside there. So if I click on this horizontal arrangement here, and then my default align horizontal is to left justify them, but you can see I can click on center here and it'll center just the buttons that are inside the horizontal arrangement. Button 3 here does not move because it's not inside there. I can also right justify, or if I want to go back, I can choose left to left justify it. And then if I had a vertical arrangement where they were stacked on top of each other, I could do the same thing with my align vertical, align them at the top, the middle, or the bottom. Okay. Another thing that's interesting about these arrangements is that I can put them inside of each other, and that's called nesting. So if I, for instance, go back to my layout, and this one is a horizontal arrangement, so if I take a vertical arrangement and stick it inside of there, now I have my horizontal arrangement and the vertical arrangement. And see, I could put my buttons in here, and this one is not in a horizontal or not in the vertical arrangement, but this whole thing is horizontal, so it's button 1, and then the arrangement, which whatever I put in there will stack vertically. And then if I were to add another one on this side, then you can see that it still keeps on going horizontally. And so I can use a combination of horizontal and vertical arrangements to make a grid of different things. Now you will notice that since these two are not in an arrangement, they're slightly off a little bit. They don't line up horizontally. But the way to fix that would be just to, even if it was the only thing in the horizontal arrangement or vertical arrangement, would be to put it in there anyway. Let's see, I'll put that in here and then stick the button in there, and you can see that now they line up. And I could do the same thing again over here, and I may have to take the button out to be able to see that. And you can see that now they line up. And I could do something like this and make something like a tic-tac-toe board just by putting 3 buttons in a vertical arrangement, 3 buttons in the next vertical arrangement, and then finally 3 buttons in the last vertical arrangement to make my 3x3 grid for tic-tac-toe. Now these buttons would have to be then resized so that they fit on the screen and everything like that, but you can see that we can make whatever kind of layout that we want for this. Another thing that's interesting is that if I'm just going to go through and delete the entire horizontal arrangement and everything will go away. And what I could do is if I had, say, like on the first program that we did, we had a canvas. And if I wanted to, say, have the canvas take out most of the area except for a little area for buttons down at the bottom, I could have my canvas here and then go back to the layout and get a horizontal arrangement, put it underneath it. And then if I make the this horizontal arrangement here, make the height, say, 50 pixels, and then made the width to fill parent, and then with the canvas then make its width fill parent, and then its height fill parent. The fill parent will take any extra space, so it's not going to cover up this horizontal arrangement, but it'll take all the extra space. When I click OK, you notice that now that canvas takes up the entire place. Here, I can change the background color here to make it so that you can see it easier. This canvas takes up all of the space that's not being taken up by this horizontal arrangement. Then I could put my buttons or check boxes or whatever I need to inside of there. And let's put a text box in there as well. And you can see that it just takes up the stuff down at the bottom, and it leaves the vast majority of the screen real estate for the canvas. And then as soon as my emulator catches up here, it should be able to show you that. It's working on it. There we go. Oh, still working. But it will have the blue canvas here, the button, and then the text box eventually as soon as it gets caught up. There we go, if it stays. And so that's how we can use the arrangements here in the layout drawer, the horizontal arrangement and the vertical arrangement, to make whatever kind of layout that you want on your app.